She made pancakes that morning, kissed her kids, smiled for a family friend. It was a cold December day, the kind where snow quiets everything, even secrets. Then she vanished. No signs of a struggle, no body, just a husband with a bizarre story, and two little boys whispering things no one wanted to believe. In the basement freezer, Mommy's in the mine, Daddy hurt Mommy. The world would come to know Susan Powell not through justice, but through a trail of ash, blood, and fire. This is Whispers of Crime, and this is the case that still haunts anyone who hears it. December 6, 2009, West Valley City, Utah. It was just another Sunday. Susan Powell, 28 years old, a mother of two, went to church with her family. Her husband, JoshPowell, and their two sons, Charlie and Braden. Afterward, a neighbor stopped by. Susan was knitting. The kids were playing. Josh hovered, as usual, distant, strange, controlling. The neighbor left around 5 p.m. It would be the last time anyone outside the Powell family ever saw Susan alive. By Monday morning, she was gone. Susan didn't show up for work. Her cell phone was off. Her purse, usually with her at all times, was found inside the house. Her friends panicked. So did her co-workers. So did her family. Police were called, and when they arrived at the Powell home, it was locked. No answer. But the family minivan? Missing. Hours later, Josh finally returned with the kids. He looked disheveled, exhausted. When asked where he had been, his answer was almost laughable, if it hadn't been so terrifying. I took the boys camping, he said, in the middle of the night, in December, in a snowstorm. Detectives were baffled. Josh wasn't acting like a frantic husband. He was aloof, robotic, defensive. He claimed Susan had stayed behind, maybe gone to work early. But the house told a different story. Police found two box fans running, oddly placed, on the living room floor, trying to dry something. Nearby, a wet spot on the carpet. When luminol was sprayed later, traces of blood. Some of it matched Susan. Some of it, an unknown male. Even more disturbing, Susan's safety deposit box contained a handwritten letter. It read, "If I die, it may not be an accident. Take care of my boys." She had feared her husband. She had made plans to leave, but she never got the chance. Josh Powell wasn't always a monster. Or maybe he always was, and people just didn't look closely enough. Born into a deeply dysfunctional family, Josh grew up in the shadow of a domineering, voyeuristic father, Stephen Powell, who kept journals, stalked women, and filmed his daughter-in-law, Susan, in secret. Yes, Stephen Powell was obsessed with her. He admitted it, bragged about it, even. And somehow, that same darkness had taken root in Josh. Friends of the couple described his control, how he isolated Susan, monitored her spending, took her diary. He was possessive, paranoid, manipulative. He wanted power, not partnership. And when Susan began asserting independence, everything escalated. In the weeks following her disappearance, Josh moved fast. He lawyered up immediately, refused polygraphs, dodged media, and then the unthinkable. He packed up his sons and moved in with his father, across state lines. From Utah to Washington, detectives were left spinning. Josh was never arrested, never charged, because there was one glaring problem. There was no body, and without it, prosecutors knew they'd be fighting uphill. Still, police kept digging. They searched abandoned mines in the Utah desert, dug through frozen ground, brought in cadaver dogs. But nothing. Susan's body was nowhere. It was like she disappeared into thin air. Meanwhile, Josh's behavior grew more erratic. He ignored court orders, lied in interviews, and continued manipulating his sons. But kids talk, even little ones. One day, Charlie, just 4 years old, drew a picture of a van, 3 people inside. A man, 2 boys, no mom. When asked, he said, "Mommy was in the trunk." Another time, Braden said, "Daddy hurt Mommy." Police were horrified. These weren't one-off statements. They were patterns, and they were adding up. Still, without a body, Josh couldn't be arrested, so authorities shifted their focus. The children. In 2011, the courts granted Susan's parents, Chuck and Judy Cox, custody of Charlie and Brayden. Josh was furious. He demanded supervised visits, pleaded for his boys. But behind the scenes, something darker was brewing. Authorities were building a case. Slowly, methodically, they suspected Josh knew exactly what happened to Susan, that he may have hidden her body in one of Utah's hundreds of abandoned mines. But they needed time they never got. February 5th, 2012, a Sunday, Josh was scheduled for a supervised visit with Charlie and Brayden at a home monitored by a social worker. When the boys arrived, Josh was already at the door. He ushered them inside, then slammed the door shut, locked it. The social worker pounded on the door, screamed, called 911. She cried into the phone. He took them. He wouldn't let me in. I'm afraid for their lives. 8 minutes later, the house exploded. Josh had rigged the gas line, soaked everything in gasoline, and killed himself and both of his sons in a fiery murder-suicide. The explosion was so powerful, it shook neighboring homes. When first responders arrived, they found no survivors. Josh had doused the house, lit a torch, and held his sons as they burned. It was a final act of control, of cruelty, a way to make sure no one else, especially Susan's parents, ever got to see those boys grow up. And in death, Josh may have taken the truth with him, but not all of it, because what came next was even more chilling. After the fire, investigators went through Josh's belongings. There, in digital files and journals, they found twisted stories, fantasies of violence, drawings of women in bondage, and in a hidden folder, Susan's documents, birth certificate, life insurance forms, bank records. Josh had planned this, planned everything. The camping trip, the lies, the move to Washington, and perhaps the murder itself. It was now clear Josh Powell hadn't snapped. He had calculated. Then came another bombshell. In 2015, cadaver dogs alerted to a grave site near an abandoned mine shaft in Utah. Inside were bones. Forensic analysis began, but hopes were dashed. The remains were animal, not Susan. Still, the location raised questions. Why had Josh searched that area on his computer? Why had he bookmarked maps of the nearby desert? Had he buried her there? Or dropped her in a mine never to be found? To this day, no trace of Susan Powell's body has ever been recovered. Susan's parents, Chuck and Judy, never stopped fighting. They sued Washington State for failing to protect their grandsons. And in 2020, a judge ruled in their favor, awarding them $98 million in damages. A victory, yes, but a hollow one. No money could bring back Charlie, or Brayden, or Susan. Today, Susan Powell is still classified as missing, but no one doubts she was murdered by the man who claimed to love her and who destroyed their children rather than face justice. Her face appears on missing posters, her name on memorials, her story in countless true crime documentaries. She is a symbol of a system that failed, of red flags ignored, of the unbearable cost of inaction, but also of courage. Susan documented her fears, told friends, wrote letters, created a record. She wanted to be heard, even if no one listened in time. So what really happened to Susan Powell? Did Josh kill her that night in a fit of rage? Or had he planned it all along, calculated every move, every alibi, every lie? Was her body hidden in a mine miles from any search party? Or destroyed completely, leaving behind no trace? And what secrets did those little boys carry with them? We may never know. But somewhere, buried beneath layers of lies, is the truth, waiting. She trusted him, loved him, raised a family with him, and in return he erased her. But her story didn't vanish. It echoes through courtrooms, through headlines, through the voices of every woman who's ever been silenced. What do you think really happened to Susan Powell? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you want more stories like this one, subscribe to Whispers of Crime, where silence ends and the shadows speak.